We'll go to now special teams coordinator and outside linebackers coach Mike Ekeler. To ask a question to Coach Ekeler, please hit the raise your hand function and we'll call on you. And please state your name and affiliation. We'll start with David Pascal, then we'll go to Jimmy Himes.
Mike, I'm curious. Josh was saying earlier, just SEC experience was really important. And I know you and Rodney and Willie all worked under Coach Richt at Georgia. I know Rodney and Willie were ahead of you, but why do you view SEC? Why is SEC experience so important in this league?
Well, it's a whole different deal. I've coached in all Power 5 conferences, been in the SEC a total of 5 years, 3 at LSU and 2 at Georgia, excuse me. And to have that experience, it's just different. It's different than the Big 12. It's different than the ACC. And, it's the deep end of the pool.
Jimmy.
Mike, Jimmy Himes with Sports Animal in Knoxville. Could you kind of give us an idea of what you want your special teams units to look like?
One thing that we'll do is we'll play our tails off, and we're gonna be all about technique, and we're gonna play hard, and we're gonna play clean.
What do you feel like you have with the skilled position players you've inherited?
Just having watched every clip last year of our special teams, really feel like they really have a good foundation and a good culture from a special team standpoint. The guys played hard. I think we've got some really good skill players, and I'm excited to get out there in spring practice and work with them.
Ben McKee, then Austin Price.
Coach, Ben McKee of Rocky Top Insider. From the outside linebacker perspective, just what have been your initial thoughts of the guys you have inherited there, and what will kind of be your main focus those first couple of weeks of the spring practice?
Well, really have seen them on the field only one time, just having gotten here last week and watching them on film last year. Excited. I think we've got a lot of talent there, got some speed. Just excited to get out there in spring practice and work with them and see these guys develop.
Coach, and watching your Twitter activity over the weekend, you're recalling your first game coaching in Neyland in 2005. What was it about that game? And then take me through kind of maybe what you see as a difference in maybe Neyland Stadium versus some of the other big venues you coached in, because you coached in quite a few.
Sure. Well, I just remember walking in there. First of all, you walk in that stadium and it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's incredible. It's all symmetrical, and it's probably one of the most breathtaking just structures you've been in. Then you toss in 103,000 people, and they start singing Rocky Top, and it's an electric environment. I remember I was up in the press box at the time, and the thing's like shaking and swaying, and it was pretty awesome. So ever since that, I think we ended up coming out on top where I was in overtime, but it was an unbelievable battle, and just had a great experience.
Blake Topmeyer, then David Ubben.
Yeah, Mike, Blake Topmeyer at the Knoxville News Sentinel. I was wondering, is it a true story or an urban legend that you and Jeremy Pruitt got into a fight when you guys were on staff together there at Georgia?
You know what? The only thing I'll say about my experience at Georgia is worked for Mark Richt, an unbelievable guy, and really had a great experience working for him. Incredible person. And, I'm just excited about what we're doing here. And
I'll follow up in a different direction. You're someone who's worked on the defensive side of the ball at a lot of places, but now gotten into kind of this special teams thing. Why is that a direction you wanted to take your career, and what do you think it takes to make a good special teams coach?
Well, going back, when they added the 10th coach, that's really when I decided to go the special teams route. Because I'd always gone, linebackers, defensive coordinator, and so forth. And I've always loved special teams, but at that point, a lot of head coaches hadn't put the emphasis on it. And I saw it as an opportunity. That's kind of how I made my name as a player. And I love that aspect of it. You get to coach every single player on the team, and it's all, you get to teach them I call it transferable skill. So a kickoff, for example, it's no different. We'll pull a clip of a receiver stemming a corner, stepping on his toes, running a post cut. Guys, that's all you're doing. It's the same thing. We'll pull a clip of a linebacker setting up a block and look him in the eyes and sticking him. And it's all about space. It's all about where's the ball, where's the block, how much space do I have, teaching them relationships. So to sum it up, you're teaching your entire team all the fundamentals of ball. So that's what I really enjoy, working with every player and getting out there. And the other thing that's fun about it is you got one shot at this. You know, it's not like offense, not like defense where you have 3 opportunities. You got one shot. So your chili better be hot. You better be ready to rock and roll. And I enjoy that because I wake up about 3 a.m. every day and I don't need a cup of coffee. I'm ready to go.
David.
Yeah, Mike, do you anticipate, I guess, I don't know if having access is the right word, but using starters on your special teams unit, either as return men or, gunners or those kind of things?
In the past where I've been, we haven't used a lot of starters. And here's the reason. You have an opportunity to develop your whole entire roster, and you have an opportunity to leave some tread on the tires, so to speak, of your starters. But we're going to use exactly who we have to, or who we need to be the best in the conference. So I don't know what that looks like right now. And that's the fun part of spring ball. Our job as a special teams coordinator, my job is to identify every single player on our roster, identify their skill sets. And that's what we'll do. And we'll plug them in.
Trey Wallace and Eric Kane.
Trey Wallace, Rocky Top Insider. I spoke with one of your former players last week, in Will Compton, and he started to get into the stories of your recruiting tactics and what you did at Nebraska when it comes to that last in-home visit of showing him a tattoo on your arm. I'm interested to hear what it's like for you to be on the road. What are you trying to preach kids? And if you can you finish that story on how your 24-mile run in Lincoln ended?
Oh yeah, that was well, first of all, just in recruiting, I just, it's about connecting with these kids. And as a coach, once you connect with them and once they understand and they get here, and former players like a Will Compton, I mean, I told Will when he stepped foot on campus, and I've told every player this, that guys, it's my job as a coach to earn your respect. And so let me be clear about that. If I can't make you the best linebacker in Will's case in the country, then I'm worthless to you. That's my job. I said, then it's my job to earn your trust. And what that happens over time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen in the fourth quarter when, hits a fan and we're down against Auburn. And what am I going to do? Am I going to point a finger? Am I going to point a thumb? Are we in this together? Or are we really in it together? So that takes time. And then after you get those two components, the third thing, once you figure out I actually care about you, I love you, now we got something. So in the recruiting process, it's really conveying that to the recruits and getting in front of them and really just getting to know them on a personal level, getting to know their families and know who they are and what they're about. And to finish the story on the run, all right, so we were practicing. It was spring practice. We had a Friday practice. It was not one of our best practices. My wife and kids were out of town. They're actually in St. Louis. And I told our guys, we had an early morning scrimmage in Memorial Stadium on Saturday. I said, hey, fellas, we're going to have the greatest practice in the history of Nebraska football today. I said, when we do, so I'm going to go run a marathon. And lo and behold, I mean, Levante, David, and Will Compton, and a bunch of other dudes out there just wrecking shop. We had an unbelievable practice. So after practice, we go and we had a bunch of boosters there. So we had a big barbecue. And so we're under a stadium eating barbecue. And then one of my good friends, Joe Moglia, who was with us, he's a CEO of TD Ameritrade, went on to become the head coach at Coastal Carolina. He lived in Omaha. And so you take I-80 from Lincoln to Omaha, and I said, hey, Joe, will you drop me off? And so he dropped me off 27 and a half miles away from the stadium on I-80. It was 90 degrees out. I will admit, though, there was a wind at my back. And so I took off, started running. All I had was a little headset, and I had my GPS, with that tracked how your splits and so forth. So I got to running, I think I was 23 and a half miles in, and I hear these sirens come up behind me, and it scared the heck out of me now, because I'm just running on the shoulder of the interstate. And I look behind me, and it's a police officer pulling me over. And he goes, son, what are you doing? I said, officer, I'm running a marathon. He goes, you can't run out of here. I said, what do you mean? He goes, it's illegal. And so it made me get in the police car, and I'm sitting in there. I didn't have a shirt on. I was sweating like Moses Malone in the fourth quarter. And so I get in there and I look in the mirror, and it looked like I had rabies, because it was 90 degrees out. I'd been running 22 and a half miles. I had cotton mouth like you couldn't believe. And so he said, give me your name. And I said, Mike Ekeler. And he goes, Coach Eck? He goes, what are you doing, man? And I told him, and he goes, I said, officer, how far am I for the 56th Street exit? He said, you're 2 miles away. I said, that's where I'm turning. That's where I'm going to the stadium. I said, just let me finish. He said, I can't do that. I can get fired if you get hurt. So I said, well, I am kind of tired. How about if you just give me a ride back to the stadium then? So that's how it ended. So I never finished it.
Thank you.
Last question, Brent.
Yeah, Coach Ekeler, kind of following up a little bit on that. Where does your intensity come from? I mean, obviously you're known for your intensity. Where does that stem from? What's kind of brought that out of you as a young age, and why have you been able to consistently carry that through your career, regardless of where you're at or what you're doing?
I think it's just DNA. I think it's how you're wired as a person. It's no different than everybody's got a different coaching style, right? Everybody's got a different personality. And I just happen to enjoy Red Bull, and that's kind of how I coach.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate y'all.